Thanks for joining us for another edition of Weekend Winners, and we have reached the grand finale. It's Tab Blacks of Fake Night coming through on Saturday night from Albion Park. It's the Grand Circuit event, Group 1 status, and it's the best of the best. The open class stars taking on one another, trying to prove who is the #1 pacer in this country. It's a stellar lineup. I'm really looking forward to it. Again, I've got the gang back. Greg O'Connor from New Zealand, Darren Clayton, our local expert, joins me now. Guys, this is going to be a great night of racing.
Yeah, it certainly is. Look, I can't wait to see the quality of horseflesh we're going to have here on Saturday night. I can't wait to see Darren's speed maps, because you need to know where these horses are going to land, and we know how hot the fence has been the entire carnival. In fact, in harness racing, if you're not on the markers, you have to be 2, 3 or 4 lengths better than your opposition to come wide and win.
Yeah, last year, Darren, it was a major upset. Amazing Dream, SP'd at $61. Do you think there's a chance there might be a boil over? Current favourite is Spirit of St. Louis.
I think there's every chance, Chris. I think the betting market across the field, the entire field, just shows the strength of the field, because there's some nice horses at big prices, and it'd be no surprise for any one of those horses, given the right trip, to win that race. So it's a great night of racing across the entire card, but that Black's a Fake, it's a cracker.
10 races, we start at 5:02. Tab have come to the party. We've got a quaddy jackpot. The jackpot amount is $110,000. The projected pool races 5, 6, 7 and 8, $500,000. So this is going to take in several of the Group 1 features, the Oaks, the Derby, the Blacks are Fake, and race number 7 is the Blacks are Fake Constellation, you could say. It's a high quality lineup. So they're the 4 quaddy legs, $500,000 that projected pool. This is going to entice punters to play tomorrow night. It's a star-studded lineup. Like I said, there's 4 Group 1 features, the Trotters Cup, plus the Oaks, the Derby, and the Blacks are Fake. The Blacks are Fake is the highlight, no doubt about it. It was morphed into the Blacks are Fake from the Winter Cup, from the Queensland Pacing Championship back in 2012. Here's some names that have come up short trying to win this race. Tiger Tara, Lenny the Shark, Myfield Marshall, Smolder, Chris and Me smoking up for a reason. Copy that with Sharky. They're just a few horses that have come to Brisbane trying to win this race and have come up a little short.
All right, Darren, who would win it if they all lined up against each other? Because I tell you what, that's a pretty hot field.
That is a cracking field. Well, Myfield Marshall, he went close. So Tiger Tara, he probably copped a tough year when he tried to do it. So that is a great field of horses there.
I'd be with the Iron Horse, Smolder. I mean, he could win from anywhere, and I think this carnival's shown that you have to be that good if you want to win from outside the leader or that sort of position.
I'd be smoking up in that field.
Smoking up, yeah. Well, if it was over a mile, I would be.
Here's some betting stats as well. 4 favourites have been successful since 2012. 3 of those favourites have been odds on. The most recent King of Swing, when it was staged in the summer, when we had the pandemic a few years ago. 3 of those were odds on, like I mentioned. The only horse that wasn't odds on was Philadelphia Man, trained by Emma Stewart. Emma's got to run it tomorrow night and like a wildfire.
Yeah, and he's the big talk horse. A lot of tipsters and form analysts are suggesting he'll be the one to move forward early in the race, potentially get the lead. Well, I'm not so convinced that's just a given.
Yeah. Fastest ever Blacks are Fake, Colt 31, when he scored in 2019. Blistering time, 1:53.7 for 26.80. The slowest winner of the Blacks are Fake since it became the Blacks are Fake was the inaugural winner, Tearaway, back in 2012, 1:58.8. So who knows? Let's hope the weather gods are kind on Saturday night. We're going to take our first break. We'll come back and we'll look at all of the features, including the JC Mcmullen. That's the first race we're going to preview. The first of our features on Saturday night is the JC Mcmullen, named in honour of a great performer here at Albion Park for many, many years. And this is a Group 3 feature, and it's a real race for the up-and-comers, and it's drawn together an outstanding lineup for this year, 2022. Greg, Better Isolate is a horse that you absolutely love, but this is going to be a good test for him off the back row.
It really is, and the carnivals prove that not many horses have been able to do it. I think he is capable of doing it. He probably needs a card into it. If he has to do it himself, I don't know that the flip of the coin odds is value, but I do think he's the best horse in the race. Hearing through that Classy Washington's come out, so that I know will change Darren's map in many respects, and maybe even his selections.
With the favourite Better Isolate, They deliberately bypassed last week's 4-year-old championship. They were eyeing this race off. Matty Craven's made it public that, this is a race that he wants to win. He tried to win it last year, came up a little short. Is Better Isolate the horse to provide him with that victory?
He's certainly good enough, as Greg said. He's got the class. Interesting that it has been a target race because under the conditions he was always going to draw poorly. He's one of the higher rated at 73. It's a 60 to 75, so he was always going to draw poorly. So I guess Matt knew that was the case. So to be bullish about wanting to come into this race, I guess he knows what he's got in his horse. His first 3 runs back down in Victoria, they were superb. His first up win was off the charts, and just got dealt with in that last run before he come up here. Won that Rising Sun Constellation up here, his first run. Like Greg said, he probably needs a card into the race. I don't think he can get forward and work. Where he gets that card on, I think it's off Saginaw, but I'm not 100%. I think Rockin' with Elvis probably pushes forward early. If Classy Washington does come out, that means 444 likely get the back of the early leader if My Ultimate Cobber tries to lead throughout, which I think is a distinct possibility. He's got to take his chance. That puts 444 in a great spot, and I originally thought Classy Washington was a really good chance in this race. His form has been super. That puts 444 now onto that peg run, and that might just see Rockin' with Elvis come over to sit outside Cobber.
When you looked at this field earlier, did you think it was a fast front line?
I didn't think it was an overly fast front line. I think perhaps the fly in the ointment a little bit is probably Woodley Diego, but he is stepping up in class here. He was really good winning the Marburg race. The Western Star did have an inside gate there, so you got to take that with a grain of salt as to where he gets here from wider out, but he's got great speed, and I think they'll take a good early look with him and try and get across. La Saffron probably not quick enough to get across. So am I. He's at big odds in this race, but he actually gets out pretty good. So he could certainly have a bit of an early look as well. So it's an interesting one.
Yeah, Greg, you going to tip Better Isolate?
Yeah, I am. I think he'll win the race with the race pattern working out for him, and I think he's the horse. I just love the way he savaged the line the other night. When you consider the tough run that he had in Melbourne prior to coming here, there was a little bit of trepidation about how he'd come off that. He came off it and came off it with grand gusto. So, yep, he's clear top pick for me. I like Rockin' with Elvis. I think he'll be forward in the race. I think he'll be right in it. Then I gave a chance to Saginaw because I've seen plenty of him in New Zealand. He's a tough customer. He won't mind working in the race. Toss up then between My Ultimate Cobber and now the horse drawn directly behind him in 444.
Yeah, I'm tipping Better Isolate as well. The other thing with Better Isolate that proved that he was on track for a good campaign up here was that trial against I Cast No Shadow in 49-1. So I think he'll come out of that last start victory with plenty of confidence. It's a target race. He came up short last year with Kowalski analysis. I think Better Isolate can go one better. So he's my on-top selection. 444 drops in grade. He took on Better Isolate last time out in that Constellation of the Rising Sun. Other chances, 11 Saginaw, and if Classy Washington comes out, Rockin' with Elvis is the other key runner. So I think the back row horses are clearly the class.
Yeah, certainly, and I think Better Isolate now. I've got him on top if Classy Washington does come out. So Saginaw, he came out, I was speaking to one of the owners, Jamie Dernberger-Smith. When he bought this horse, he said to Jack Butler, he's a better horse than Deus Ex. Big call. It's taken him a while to really wind up, but he's had his issues. So I think he's right in this, and My Ultimate Cobber, and then 444.
Okay, that's the JC Mcmullen. It's a Group 3 feature named after an icon here in Queensland, Hollywood John. So that is race number 2. Start time for that feature at 5:35. The Group 1 Pride's Easy Feed Queensland Trotters Cup is a good race. Last year won by Tough Monarch. He's back to defend his title, but he needs to lift on his unplaced effort last week in the Trotters Sprint. This is your domain, Greg, the Trotters. You love the Trotters. Who's going to win this race and why?
Well, barrier draw-wise, it maps out beautifully. I reckon there's going to be a lot of speed early. Doff Your Cap, yes. Tough Monarch will come out with it. Credit Master was so good winning last time. Who lands in front? Well, I was lucky enough to go out and spend some time with Jared Elshin a couple of days ago and saw big Doff Your Cap, and his head hasn't got any smaller since he's come across here, and I want it to be in front when they hit the line on Saturday night. He said to me he thinks he can hold the lead. He's not worried if he does hand over, but he said Cam Hart's a front of the field driver. He likes to get them up on the steel. He thinks he'll stay in front, but he said if he's in the trail, he might be too fast for them anyway. He wasn't quite right in the Darryl Alexander. Sectionally, he went really well, as good as anything in the race. In fact, I think he was #1 with stats coming out of that. And he came off 30 metres. He gave all these horses a start, the majority of them anyway. So I think he has a huge advantage from barrier 1. His mobile record since coming to Australia is outstanding. He's already finished second in the Aquagate Mile when he was only having his second start for Jared. And he said his work this week has been the best since he's been in Australia. Therefore, I think Doff Your Cap can win it. Tough Monarch's not going as well, and he's getting to the back end of his career. I spoke to Ricky about that. He said, look, I've nearly got him right. If it was another week or two, I reckon I'd just about win the race. So therefore, I can't have him winning. I think he'll place. Credit Master, yes, and Global Flight's rise has been so dramatic. That's the way I see it unfolding. Frontline draws, those horses on the speed, but Doff Your Cap #1.
Okay, Darren, last week Credit Master was able to take out the sprint. He took a calculated gamble, Matty Craven. He elected to follow through behind Majestic Harry. Some thought he would lead, some thought he may hand over. He took the punt, went through on the inside, then used the sprint lane to score. Gate 3 this week, is he sort of left in a vulnerable position? Is he going to have to work at some point from that gate?
Yeah, I think he is. I think it almost puts him in a little bit of no man's land because Tough Monarch will be wanting to kick up, and I can't see Credit Master being able to do the work and still be fighting on at the end. I think at some point he will need a breather. I mapped Doff Your Cap in front. I thought he had the speed to burrow through, keep them wide, and from the front I think he can lead all the way. I thought What's Up Majestic probably comes across, perhaps gives cover to Tough Monarch. Tough Monarch, we were talking about his mobile stats, 30 of 35 I think it was last week. He's tackled the 2100 mobile at Albion Park 3 times. He's won 2 of those. Track record win last year in this same race. So don't discount him, even though he is getting up now, 10-year-old, but I think he's going to be thereabouts. One that I thought might just give a little bit of cheek, drawn in on the fence, Wee Man Trouble. Really good off speed. His performance of late have been good. They're saving him for mobile runs. He looks to get the perfect trip here in behind Doff Your Cap, so he could just be a little bit of a cheeky knockout. But I think the way it works, I think Doff Your Cap in front, and I think he leads all the way.
Okay, Greg, just on Credit Master, back in New Zealand, was he known for gate speed? Was he known for strength? What sort of game did he have over there?
He's got speed. He's got a lot of high speed, and he showed that by winning the other night. But he did get the perfect run. His form was very indifferent in New Zealand because so many of the races were from a stand. Therefore, he often galloped and he was out of play. Mobile's his go. I would have concerns about him getting across the inside too, and I'm pretty sure Matthew Craven will have those same concerns.
Okay, so both of you guys are tipping Doff Your Cap?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to go with Credit Master. I'm going to stick with what we saw last week. He's still on the up, and remember last week, Matty Craven said whatever he did last week in the Trotters Sprint, there was still more to come. So I'm hoping there is a little bit more improvement left in Credit Master, and he can complete the big double, the Trotters Sprint and the Group 1 Trotters Cup. 3 on top for me. Doff Your Cap's the obvious horse that's going to get every chance here off the inside. Tough Monarch, he's got to be better, but we know he's capable of better. He is the defending champ. And Wee Man Trouble, like Darren said, he's capable of going a bold race there. So 3, 1, 2, 8. Darren's gone 1, 8, 2, 3, and Greg's gone 1, 2, 3, 5. So that's the Group 1 Prize Easy Feed Queensland Trotters Cup. Start time for race number 4, 6:40. Another Group 1 feature is race 5, which starts the Tab Quaddie. Remember, there's a projected pool of $500,000, and this is the opening leg of the Quaddie. It's the Tab Queensland Oaks. The 3-year-old fillies here stepping out over 2,138 metres. Greg, I'll come to you first here. Most expecting this to be a race in 2 between Demore Vita and Steno. Do you see it that way, or is it a little bit more open?
Look, I think what happens early might dictate exactly what you're saying there, whether it does become a race in 2. I expect Demore Vita to lead. I know you've spoken to Nathan Purdon this week, as have I. He's changed a few things about her training. He's put a stronger bit on her and work, but get this, he rang his father and said, what do you think about her racing in that bit? He said, I wouldn't try it. You don't want her going out there and dogging it and pulling too hard and pulling herself out of the race, particularly in an Oaks when they're going that extra bit of distance. So I'm expecting her to lead and hopefully settle. If she does, she's the one to beat. Spoke to Cameron Ross. I've been lucky staying here. I've watched these horses work, or in particular the New South Wales horses. She looked really sharp here the other day, like really bright. He said she's improved from that first up run. And don't forget, she set up those unbelievable sectionals in front. She had every right to probably finish as far back as a Moravita, but she kept fighting on. She's a good filly. You've got to have her in. The interesting one you guys have got to tell me more about is Soho Historia, because you can only win, and I know it's been against lesser horses, but gee, she's been good.
Well, she's unbeaten since joining the Emma Stewart stable, so she's the X factor because she's the fresh blood in the race. So she's a big query. Darren, just on this race, mapping it, Amore Vita, she's much better drawn in comparison to last week, so they've got to utilise that good gate. Steno's got to take a shot. These fillies might go to battle early here.
Yeah, they certainly could, and like both of you gents, I've spoke to Nathan Purdon as well, and I asked his thoughts on where he thought she would need to be in the run, and he suggested that he thought he'd either be in front or on the leader's back. Now, I was trying to work out what that actually meant and how that permeated in the map, because I thought the Iron Lady could keep them all wide, and I know she wasn't great last time out, but I think she's got the speed. And at the 2100, the Oaks is 2100, not 2600 like the Derby is, so it's the same race distance we went over last week. I thought, with that in mind, I thought the Iron Lady could actually hold up, and that might just leave Steno parked. That would give Amore Vita a perfect 1-1 trail. So whether she's in the 1-1, whether she's in front, whether she's leaders back, I think she's going to be in a perfect position. And how good would it be to have the counsel of being able to ring Mark Purdon as your dad?
When he told me that, I was like, okay.
Yeah. Just on that then, the Iron Lady, you've seen plenty of this filly race, Greg. Is she capable of holding up from the inside?
Yeah, I think she is. The only thing again her a wee bit is she didn't really handle the track here last week. So how hard do you push her if you want to stay in front? But we know, again, front of the end driver, front of the field driver rather, I think they might try that, but if Amore Vita gets there, I just don't see any other scenario than her staying there.
Chris Alford's won the Queensland Oaks previously. It's a long time ago, and it was a good one, tailor-made Lombo. So, you know, can he do it again with Amore Vita? Many are saying that she's on that sort of path to greatness, so she really needs to win this if those claims are going to be true.
Yeah, certainly does, and she really needs to step up after that. I know she had to sit outside Steno, and I think, to be fair, Steno was maybe only wanting to beat one horse, and that perhaps brought her undone. Whether that's the case or not, either way, that last 1200 was off the charts. I think 54 and change for the 800 to the post, and the 1200 to the 400 crazy time as well. So, but she'll be second up. Her trial was good. She won her previous 4 coming into a spell. She's on the upward path as well, so it shapes as a great race. I'm with Amore Vita. I think she can bounce back. I think she'll be too classy, but I don't think it's a given.
Okay, so your numbers in full there?
So Amore Vita from Steno, so 2 from 5. Soho Historia in for 3rd, and Racy Roxy off the back of her run. I think it was a good run. She's a good filly. Soho Historia, that is the interesting one. Again, talking with Jamie, he didn't want to bring her for this race, but Emma and Clayton said she needs to be on the plane, so that's a fair rap to take.
It's the family of Pelican Rama, Soho Historia. You're tipping Amore Vita as well?
I am 2, 11, 5 and 1. I think the Iron Lady will end up with a very good run, so I think it's a first 4 player. But Darren made a really good point. This is over 2100. It's not the traditional Oaks of the longer journey. I think that'll play into Amore Vita's hands.
Okay, I'm going Amore Vita as well. 2, 5, 10 and 13. Just a quick one. Why are the fillies at 2100 and the boys are at 2600?
I could not tell you that. They've always been 2100, but they stepped them up in the Redcliffe Oaks, where they had been shorter, but not this one.
It's just unusual that an Oaks race across Australasia, they normally, over the longer trip.
Yeah.
Well, that's the first leg of the quaddie tomorrow night. Repeating, a projected pool of $500,000. That is the Oaks, the Group 1 tab Queensland Oaks. Start time at 7:15. Race number 6 is the Group 1 tab Queensland Derby. The 3-year-old Colton Gelding's going over the longer journey, the same distance as the tab Blacks of Fate, the Grand Circuit event. And this promises to be a very good race. Darren, I'll come to you firstly. I've been bullish about the locals holding their own in the Derby. Can they get the job done here tomorrow night?
Definitely can, and I think this race is Leap to Fame's race to lose. He's my best bet of the night. I think despite the gate, I think it all pans out for him. Just looking at that front line, I can't see what sets it up to really beat Leap to Fame in front. I think from a map perspective, I think we can see him get around them quite quickly, and I think he can get to the front, work his way to the front, and from there, he should just be too classy. He doesn't have to do it that way. I think he's the horse on the upward trajectory. We've got a horse like Can't Find a Better Man. He won last week's Southeast Derby, but he took that inside shot, got the run on Danger Zone. Leap to Fame sat outside them, both of them, and was still there at the line. He was only beaten a neck, so that was a really good effort, 2100, off the back of his Rising Sun performance. So from a local perspective, I think he is a really good thing tomorrow night. I think this is his race. The other one is his stablemate, Tim's a Trooper. Didn't have any luck at all last week in the Southeast Derby. Prior to that, he'd placed in the Queensland Sun and the Rising Sun Constellation. So he comes into this race. I think he gets in a forward spot early as well, possibly even carts Leap to Fame up into the race and then prepared to sit outside him. And I think from there, the value around him at a place is huge. And some of those drawn wider on the track I think are going to struggle. Sugar Apple's an interesting one for Jason Grimson. He's at huge odds, as are a lot of horses in this race. There's been plenty of chatter about that this is his grand final, as quite a few of them are, but we're going to see a much sharper horse. Teddy Disco, I think, is another one that's big overs. His runs haven't been bad by any stretch in the last couple, and Rip, well, don't really know what to think of Rip. He could be the ultimate X-Factor horse in the race, but how good is he actually going?
That being said, Greg, the key horse in this race, or the key player in this race, is Luke McCarthy. He drove an excellent race last week, finding the back of Danger Zone from gate 2. Just going on what Darren said there, does he park Danger Zone and wait for Leap to Fame, or does he hand straight over to Danger Zone, knowing that Danger Zone will park Leap to Fame, so he'll know exactly where his main dangers are? So ultimately, he becomes the key player, Luke McCarthy. And the other thing is, we still don't know how good this horse is. He's unbeaten. He was able to turn over both Leap to Fame and Danger Zone last week. Same stable as Spirit of St. Louis he came from in New Zealand, so can lightning strike twice? It looks good so far, but he's a key player.
Oh, he definitely is, and he can win the race. There's no doubt about that at all. But I think he needs the perfect run. Yeah. He needs the same run as he got last week. He may very well get that, but I think the strength of Leap to Fame, he's the one horse when I came over here that I wanted to see in the flesh, and I was not disappointed, particularly with his run in the Rising Sun. I thought it was outstanding. And then last week he was good. That clearly wasn't his target race though. This has been it all along. He'll be peaking on Saturday night, and he is absolutely the one to beat. Can't Find a Better Man with the right run can win. Danger Zone will be in the fight for a long way, so I give him a good chance. And Muscle Bart, I thought, was a top 4 player last week. He's got a much better draw this week, and therefore he's got a part to play in this too. Really good derby, but Leap to Fame's the horse that I think will come out of this 3-year-old year and be in all the Grand Circuit races going forward.
Yeah, Greg makes a good point. Many of these are going to a distance that they haven't gone to previously. Leap to Fame's in that boat, but as we know, he proved with his victory in the New South Wales Derby, 2,400 metres, he just ran straight through the line.
And put them away in, like, he was the one. The race could have been another 200, 400 metres, and he probably extends his margin. That's how dominant he was in that New South Wales Derby. It really is his grand final. I think this is the race that they've really honed in on. I think the fact that it took so long for an invitation for that Rising Sun to come through. He was only first up in that race. Effort was super. Again, last week, good. And I agree with Greg with Muscle Bart. I think he gets that easy trip on the pegs. Gate 13, I think he was last week, so he swaps from the far outside to the easy inside, so he'll be thereabouts. Can't Find a Better Man. You can't fault his wins. He's 3 from 3 since arriving. Just a little bit concerned about a couple of those and the strength of those going into a 2600 metre derby.
Okay, so we've got Leap to Fame on top right across the board. I think Danger Zone, if he leads, I think he'll go a bold race. Look, he had his chance last week in front. Can't Find a Better Man was able to scoot the sprint lane and beat him, and Leap to Fame parked outside him and conquered him. But I still think he'll run a really good race, in particular if he leads. Can't Find a Better Man's right in the mix. And number 12, Teddy Disco. He's a local, but as Darren said, he's got very good credentials, so he's right in the race. And just looking at this race, if we're all tipping Leap to Fame, this is a great race to play the exotics in.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly with regard to that. Watched Rip's trial the other day. I know it's at a lesser level, and that, gee, he savaged the line. He really impressed me. When he put his head down, man, can he fly.
He's a big boy, isn't
He's a big brute of a horse.
And if they do happen to go to war up front and you know, Danger Zone wants to hold up and Leap to Fame has to work again, if Rip just sits out the back and just saved for one run, you know, there's nothing to say he can't power over the top. But yeah, he's just the big query, and like I said, he could be the big X factor. But Tim's a trooper, as I mentioned. He won the Redcliffe Derby a few runs back, so meeting basically the same type of field. So that's why I'm really keen on his place chances.
Well, the last Queensland horse to win the Derby was Catch a Lefty. It was quite a few years ago now, so here's hoping that the locals can stand tall and take this feature tomorrow night. That's the Group 1 tab Queensland Derby. It's race 6, 7:40 is start time. Well, this is the big one. This is the big Grand Circuit race. This is the absolute pinnacle of the carnival. It's the Tab Blacks Are Fake, named in honour of that great champion from years gone by. So this is going to be an intriguing race. Greg, there is so many questions that need to be answered. First and foremost, rather than talking about gate speed, we'll leave that to Darren. The decision by Greg Sugars to pick off Better Eclipse and partner 888, does that come as a big shock?
Intriguing, shocked. Yeah, absolutely I was, because I know what he thinks of Better Eclipse. He made it quite clear after he won last week, the Garrard Sunshine Sprint, that this horse could be anything. So I was surprised, but it adds to the permutations about what might happen at the start. What does that tell the punters? Will he try and hold up? When he's drawn inside, he's actually held his own. Obviously, he doesn't have the same speed as Turn It Up, who I mentioned last week. I think it's the fastest horse in Australasia at the start. So he won't be able to hold him, but he might be able to hold his back, and then what happens after that, Darren will tell us shortly what he thinks. But yeah, that was part of the intrigue of the race. Yes, I was surprised.
Yeah, Darren, this is the big moment here. Who is going to lead this race, and how does it sort of shake out in that first 600 metres in particular?
Yeah, well, I've been tearing my hair out all week about that, and you know, it's probably caused me a little bit of pain and anguish, and might not be smiling as much today as a result of how much work I've tried to work this out. But I thought Turn It Up, well, firstly, Elder Orlando, I thought he could cross 888. I think if he gets across first, Turn It Up naturally gets that sling across from the wide gate, and Shane Graham's has said it, he's better drawn wider in the way he works across. And in that back straight where they start, I think that puts Turn It Up in front of Elder Orlando, and then from there, he's not wanting to lead all the way over 2600. He probably was content to last week in the Sunshine Sprint, but he just copped a little bit too much pressure and had to let Better Eclipse go. That in mind, I thought Spirit of St. Louis can just tuck in there. Elder Orlando gets across first, so he sort of drifts across, and then Turn It Up's ready. He's then first horse there and can get to the front. If he gets to the front, we've seen him win some big races down in Victoria in those cups from the front. I think from there, it certainly gives him his opportunity to try to take them all the way. Like a Wildfire, he's the interesting one. Probably not suited ideally to sit outside the leader, but I think he has to go forward, and perhaps if he goes across with Turn It Up at the start, he might just be able to bully his way somewhere much closer to the action, and from there he's certainly going to be. I think Majestic Cruiser in the wash-up of all that possibly gets the 1-1, and from there he's going to be mighty hard to beat in this race. He is one that is on that upward trajectory as well coming into it, and from there I think you run on horses. It's take your pick who wants to lead them up, because it all comes down to that tempo. I think within probably, they start in that back straight. I think by the time we're at the bell, 600 metres around, I think positions are sorted and done and dusted for the next lap and a half.
Okay, great. With Spirit of St. Louis, we've been saying that he's now taken the mantle as the best pacer in this country, not your country, but in Australia. He's yet to win a big Grand Circuit race. Does he need to win this race to solidify those claims?
Yeah, absolutely he does, and he can. And I think what Darren's saying is right. He could be in the perfect spot. Smokes his pipe a little bit early, then takes the lead, then he can dominate from there. He can win the race. I think Majestic Cruiser is a terrific each-way price. $15 for him. Went back over his stats past 2,200 metres, 10 starts, 6 wins, couple of seconds. He ran 5th in the Lucky Creed and 6th in the Inter-Dominion final. So the distance is his go. When he came to New Zealand, he sat 3 and then 4 wide in the race and nearly ran down Self Assured. Then he went to Alexandra Park, didn't handle the right-handed way of going the first week, came out the second week, came wide around that bend again, which I said to Darren the other day, we like going around Rockley, and he's got and picked up Self Assured. If Self Assured was in this race, he'd be favourite regardless of draw, probably. So I'm happy to have him each way. He's a massive chance, and Jason Grimson's made it quite clear this race has been the target. He's built towards it. He looked fantastic on the track during the week. I think he's very, very hard to beat.
Yeah, this has been the target race. There's no doubt about it. It's been, you know, a lean and tough carnival for Jason Grimson, but I'm sure he'd be happy to walk away with a Blacks of Fake victory.
Oh, definitely. You know, that's what he's come here to do, to not only have runners in the Group 1s, to win them. It's been lean, but he can win this.
Okay. What are you selecting, Darren?
I've got Spirit of St. Louis as my on-top selection. From a punting perspective, I don't want to be taking the short price of the $3, $3.20. I don't want to be around that. I think price-wise, I'm quite happy to go Max Shard again. I had him on top last week in the Sunshine Sprint. He finished 4th. He was the only runner wide off the track that made ground with the 1, 2, 3 on the fence. He's 2 from 2 at Albion Park over 2,600. Admittedly, they were stand starts, but same sort of distance now, 26.47 up to 26.80 here. He gets the right trip, I think, somewhere getting a card into this race, and if they're gasping for air late, he's one horse that will be fresh after that distance.
Okay. The other one that we've got to talk about here is Like a Wildfire. He brings, you know, fresh blood into this race. First look at Albion Park and he's drawn out in gate 7. He looks great on paper. He's thrashed the reigning Inter-Dominion champ, Bonsell Benjamin. He's got recent victories over both 888 and Better Eclipse. But when you really break down those victories, has he been coming off fairly soft leads and then just blazing home in these 54 halves? So can we get a true guide on that or not?
Oh, I think it's hard. It's hard to marry it up. You're right, the 54.6 last time, but he did it under his own steam too. He really savaged the line, but he should have, and he should be beating Bonsell Benjamin, who's not the same horse as he was for the Inter-Dominion in my opinion. So he should have won that race. If he finds the front, he can win it. Anywhere else, I'm not convinced.
Okay, you're with Majestic Cruiser. I'm going to go with Spirit of St. Louis, but I'm sort of thinking along the same lines as Darren. I don't want to sort of invest at the price that he is right now. Probably looking to have a couple of spec bets on a couple of roughies there, but I'm going to go 3, 7, 4, 8. Darren's going 3, 11, 12 and 4, and Greg, you've got 4, 3, 7 and 8. That's the big one. That's the Group 1 Tab Blacks Are Fake. It's race number 8 on the program, and that is the last leg of the Tab Quaddie. So good luck if you are alive going into that final leg. Let's speak to a couple of drivers that are set to play a role at this meeting tomorrow night. Will Rickson and Nathan Dawson. Will Rickson's looking forward to Saturday night. It's the big grand finale of the 2022 Tab Constellations, and he's got a couple of very interesting drives, and he joins us now. Will, appreciate the time.
No worries, Chris.
Hey, if I put it to you, who would you like to drive in the Blacks Are Fake? Who would you nominate?
Geez, it's tough. You know, every horse in it's, you know, deserves to be there, and I mean, it's hard to go past Spirit of St. Louis. I thought his run last week was back to his absolute best. I thought he hit the line so well. So, you know, he's probably the one you nearly got to lean towards. But, yeah, I think another horse from New South Wales, Zeus Bromax, a big smoky in the race. I think he's there's going to be a lot of speed on, and he might be one to come over the top.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a fascinating race. There's no doubt about it. Let's go through your 4 drives on Saturday night. Race 1, number 1. So you start the card with Captain Crusader. Last week in that 4-year-old championship, he was a real eye-catcher running 5th. Did that sort of signal that he's getting back to his best?
Yeah, you had to come wide on that occasion, and, you know, it was such a solid race. But he come wide and hit the line well. So, yeah, well, he's been going quite well. He's sort of Had a bit of up and down sort of preparation. He's looked so good in some of his runs, and then sort of one run here at Redcliffe he was a little disappointing, but no, he seems really well, and he's got the good draw on Saturday night.
And you've got options too, because he's a gate speed horse, but you've got the likely favourite on your immediate outside and Beyond Delight. He got parked out in that 4-year-old championship last week, finished at the rear of the field. Do you adopt similar tactics to last week and park him, or are you inclined to let him go?
Yeah, I haven't sat down and spoke to Ricky or the connections about that yet, but just looking at the field, it looks as though that's the way to beat him. I'd imagine if you give Beyond the Light an easy lead, you're going to struggle to get past him, where last week they made him work for it. And I'd say we've got the good draws, so why not use it?
Would you be more confident with Captain Crusader if it was a mile, or are you confident still even though it's 2,138 metres?
It doesn't worry me, the 21. He's run some good races over the trip before, so no, that don't worry me too much.
Okay, there's a couple of other horses in this field that are boasting really good form lines. He's Dusty's going well since coming up. Cashed Up Flying. Ronaldo's going really well. What's Up Sunshine, a horse going really well. So there's a bit of depth here.
Yeah, it's a very strong race. I think Cashed Up's last few runs have been outstanding. Actually, he's been going really well, so he'll also be hard to beat. But it looks as though we've got the draw on him, so we'll have to try and use it, I'd imagine.
All right. Let's go across to the Group 1 features now on Saturday night. You're driving in the Oaks, you're driving in the Derby. We'll start with the girls first in Race 5, the Queensland Oaks for 2022. Sugar for My Honey. Naturally, you would have been disappointed when that barrier draw landed on Monday afternoon.
Yeah, I was. She was never going to be one of the favourite runners in the race, but she's actually going really good, this filly, and I love her. I got a lot of time for her, and her run last week, she got checked at a vital stage and actually ran over the line without getting any room, and was really unlucky. I think her own half was 54, and I said to Ricky, if she drew to get a good run next week, which is the Oaks this week, she'd earn money, and I was just hoping she'd get that good draw, and it didn't come, but she's she's definitely not out of the race. I thought if they run it upside down, she's a sort of half a strong sort of filly, so yeah, like if she could run in the top 5 or 6, we'd be stoked.
Yeah. Looking back at that replay from last week, the pace was just frantic from the 1,200 metre mark. The leader got fired up, may have been hitting a wheel. Amore Vita started to over-race. Do you expect a really strong tempo again this week?
I think Stano will have a crack at the start. I think, I can't see her going back from that draw. And, when she gets lit up, Stano, she's got pretty good gate speed. So I'd imagine Jack will aim her up early and try and get across. And I think that will make the lead time quick enough with Amore Vita to his inside. And, and then maybe a mid-race pressure with Cover Girl and a couple of the other fillies, which will want to get into the race at some stage. So, yeah, I wouldn't imagine it being a slowly run race.
Carnival time's, strong and brings out the best. And with a little bit more luck, though, for Sugar for My Honey, her Carnival could have been a lot better. She just either had bad draws or just no luck in running.
Yeah, it's been good that she's won a couple of the undercard races, leading up to these races, and won them quite well. And yeah, she's definitely good enough to be in them, and she'd be good enough to feature in them if she had the right run. And it's just been a bit of a shame the way the draws have sort of worked out, but it's only a starting position, so hopefully she still goes well.
Yeah, fingers crossed. It's a great thrill to be in a Group 1 Oaks, there's no doubt about it. What about the Derby, race number 6? You've picked up the drive here on My Alderman Chevron, so all of the Alderman horses drawn side by side, Johnny, Chevron, Ronnie, 5, 6 and 7. My Alderman Chevron, what do you make of this gate? It's nasty on paper.
Yeah, no better than the Oaks draw. Yeah, it's not ideal. We would have probably liked a back row draw, to be honest, like a little sort of 8 or 9 draw might have suited him better. But there is speed on in this race for sure. Danger Zone and Mild Ronnie and Leap the Fame, and can't find a better man. There's definitely going to be speed on at some stage. So I'd say just looking at the race, we'll probably just go back and drive for luck. But his run last week was quite good. I think he had his own half in 54 again. So Yeah, he's going well, but it's just sort of hard to, seeing him getting into the race at some stage.
Most of these are stepping up to the 13 furlongs for the first time. Do you have any issues with your guy running out a solid 2,600 metres?
I think driven the right way, he'll run it out. I think we'll just have to drive him back and maybe up the fence and just drive him for a bit of luck. And I think if he's driven that way, he'll run it out.
Okay. Is Leap to Fame the horse to beat, or do you think Can't Find a Better Man because he's got that, kind draw in gate 2 is the horse to beat?
No, Leap to Fame's the horse to beat. He's runs in New South Wales and Rising Sun, and even last week have all been outstanding. And in my eyes, he's the horse to beat. But it's such a strong race. Obviously, Can't Find a Better Man went great last week, and I think My Ultimate Ronnie's a really good horse as well. The draw might hurt him a bit, but he's definitely right up there with them as well.
Okay, so this is the finale of the Tab Constellations on Saturday night. Are you heading home straight after the weekend, or are you still here for a couple of more weeks?
Ricky's still got a few horses up here, and maybe another week or two I might be here for. We'll just see what happens, but probably look to go home in another week or two, and look forward to getting back into it at home. But it's been great up here.
Well, it's been great having you compete up here, so it's been a thrill. What's the other pick of your drives? Is it Captain Crusader on Saturday night because of gate 1?
Yeah, it looks that way. He's got the obviously drawn a lot better than the other two, so he'd be my pick of my drives.
Excellent. We'll really appreciate it. We'll see you trackside on Saturday night.
Thanks, Chris.
Dawson now joins us to go through his book of drives for Saturday night, and he's got a couple of key drives, including Teddy Disco in the Derby. We'll get to that race in just a moment, but he's sitting in the hot seat with us now. Nathan, appreciate the time.
Good to be on, Chris.
The first of your drives comes up in the listed Queen of Hearts, the race for the mares, and going back to last week, you really put the cat amongst the pigeons last week when you led off the arm with Rubies for Tash. Nobody saw that coming.
No, you go back, hope, so, you roll the dice and see what happens and pay it off, but, we just weren't good enough in the end. Yeah,
you gave her every chance. This week, she's got to overcome gate 8, the inside of the second row. Is that a help or a hindrance?
Oh, it's probably good where she's drawn. She's on the fence to follow speed, so she won't be doing much, but I'm sure she'll be better this week than last week. She'd missed out on a few runs and hadn't had the best prep into it, so sure she'll be a bit better.
All right. Let's go to the Group 1 Queensland Derby. Teddy Disco is your drive. You're the regular driver of Teddy Disco. Last week in the Burwood Stud Southeast Derby, he was more than okay.
Yeah, he was good. We're very happy with him. He burned out early and, we found a spot, but they probably got home a little bit too quick for us. But, he wasn't far away and, he fought off a few good horses.
Naturally, you would have been disappointed when the marbles fell on Monday afternoon. You probably were hoping for a soft, kind draw, but in the end, you've got gate 12.
Yeah, it's not the best draw, If you had your chance, you'd take something else a bit better. But, I'm happy that it's stretched out to the 26, so that'll suit our horse down to the ground.
Well, I was going to ask about that because many, I think, if not all, are going to the 2600 for the first time. That is certainly going to sort the men out from the boys.
Yeah, it will. A lot of them haven't raced over that, and as my horse has proven, he's pretty tough and, he likes a bit of work. So, the 26 is right up our alley and I think it'll sort a lot of horses out.
To your inside there at the start is Leap to Fame. Do you think Dixon will sit early or do you think he'll make a move fairly quickly?
No, I reckon once they, find their spots, he'll probably, put him into the race. He's probably, the run of the race last week, even though he got rolled, he had to do all the work. But, I'm sure he's the one to beat.
Just on that, would you be looking to try and track him forward or you just drive it as you see it?
If he happened to, sit and wait, he'd be the good horse to follow into it late. But, I can't see him sitting back there and letting them dictate the terms.
Okay, the other thing I wanted to ask about last week's Derby with Teddy Disco, in the straight, My Ultimate Ronnie loomed up, and he's a pretty fair type in his own right, but you were able to fight him off. So that's a pleasing sign going into this gruelling test on Saturday night.
Yeah, it is. That was one of the things we were most happy about. Ronnie had his shot at us up the straight, and we were able to hold him. So, if you're doing that, you're going pretty good. Yeah,
absolutely. Race number 7 on Saturday night, crunch time. He's got a second row draw as well, gate 10. His run last week was really good.
Yeah, he's actually going really good of late. We've been driving him a bit different. Trying to make him a little bit more versatile, and it seems to be paying off. So 26 is a little concern. He can get hot sometimes, but touch wood, he's been good lately.
This race looks like it's going to generate a good tempo.
Yeah, it does, and we're going to need that. And I actually think he could be a bit of a smoky in the race. He's going well, probably better than his form looks.
And the fact that it's 26.80, obviously there's a few little reservations there, but on his current form, you're confident he can run it out?
Yeah, if he settles, he'll run it out, no dramas at all. That's the only problem, but as I said, he's been good late, but if there's a bit of pace on, it'll be even better. All
right, I've got to ask, if you were to pick a horse to drive in the Blacks Are Fake, which one would you want to hitch your cart to?
Yeah, I don't think you can go past Greg's horse drawn the 8. He's done everything he's asked, and he keeps stepping up, so you'd always take him.
Yep, okay, better eclipse for you there in the Tab Blacks Are Fake. We go across to race 9. Young Conqueror, this race looks fairly open to mine on paper. How do you see it?
Yeah, it's an open race. I'm happy about Slip the Hundy being scratched. Makes it a bit easier and probably more fair. It would have started the favourite. But he's going well without a lot of luck. If he can get somewhere handy, he'll run a good race.
Okay. Do you plan on going forward at the start?
Yeah, I think we'll roll the dice and see if we can find a spot up handy. It's always hard to come from behind at Albion.
Yeah, there's a number of horses in this race that are going well, but they're just needing that little bit of luck. And your guy, he fits that same mould, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Once you get up into that grade, they've all got a bit. So the horse that gets the best runs is generally the one that gets the chockies.
Okay, the last race. This is a good quality 2-year-old event. You're with Carter Grant again. He draws gate 2. Can he lead here early?
Yeah, we'll be looking to go forward. He shows good gate speed, and he keeps stepping up all the time. So probably a few that are a little bit above him, but he won't be far away.
Is he a little underrated, this guy?
I think so. If you look at his record, it's pretty good. And he's run decent time, and he's pretty versatile as well. So he's underrated, but sometimes it's good going in there like that.
Yeah. Are you more worried about the Elgin runners, Smirks Like a Boss and My Alderman Jacko, or the local For Real Life?
All three go good, but it probably Smirks Like a Boss. He's probably got a bit on them, I reckon, in my opinion. But if he does everything right, he's probably the one to beat.
Okay. You're aiming for Group 1 glory in the Derby with Teddy Disco. What is the pick of your drives?
Yeah, I'm going to say Teddy. Yeah, it's hard to go him. He's one of the favourites, and he probably just needs that bit of luck and a race run right, and he'll be in with a shot.
How satisfying will it be if you do pull it off on Saturday night?
Yeah, it'll be very good. It's always good getting a group race when you're one of the favourites, but when you're the outsider and kind of underestimated, it's even a better thrill.
He's been a great horse for you, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. He's been great. He's one of the favourites, and he probably always will be. So you don't get opportunities like that all the time, so you got to make the most of it.
Yeah, exactly right. Hey, really appreciate the time. We'll see you trackside on Saturday night.
Thanks, Chris.
It's crunch time now. This is the time where we've got to label our best bets for this huge meeting on Saturday night at Albion Park, and more importantly, nominate our quaddie suggestions, because as we've been outlining throughout the show so far, there's a big projected pool, and it is expected to reach $500,000. So, Greg, you're up first. What is your best bet? How do we play the quaddie?
Yeah, I'm really keen on Doffy Cap. I think he'll lead and win, and I think at $4 he's a great bet. So I'm happy to make him the best bet of the night. In terms of the quaddie, I think you either anchor a Moravita, or you take 2 tickets and take another one with, excuse me, a string of them. The sore throat is as a result of the Calcutta last night that they turned over about 50,000, so it was a big old go. But yeah, I think that's the way to play it. Only need a couple in the Derby and then go wider in legs 3 and 4.
Okay, Darren, how are you playing tomorrow night?
Yeah, similar sort of play. I think a Moravita into Leap to Fame, just anchor those out, one out, and then play wide that Blacks Are Fake Constellation. I think there's plenty of opportunity of a number of horses to win that race, and then wide again into the Blacks Are Fake. And if we're alive going into that last leg, hoping something with plenty of value, Max Shard would be lovely to arrive there. And I think doing it that way just lowers the cost a little bit, and we'll know our fate pretty early in that ticket.
Okay, I'm just going a little bit different, just playing a little wider in the Oaks. I'm going to stand out Leap to Fame in that second leg of the quaddie. I've marked him as the best bet on the program, so I'm going to stand him out, playing a little wider in the Oaks, just in case those 2-star fillies, Amore Vita and Steno, overcook it and that enables something to run on. So I'm going to play a little wide, standout leap to fame. Played with a few numbers there in that 7th race, which is the Constellation, you could say, and I'm playing wide in the Blacks Are Fake. I think it's really open. So they're our suggestions. They're our best bets for Saturday night's program. Remembering, if you are gambling, please do so responsibly. And with the quaddie, play to suit your own budget. You can take that for a percentage if you really want to. So that's our thoughts for tomorrow night. Let's get the thoughts now of Kate Butt. She won't be too far away, and she's going to come through with Butt's best bets. And welcome back. Time now to get the very important selections from the very popular Kate Butt, who's been run off her feet during the Tab Constellations for 2022, but she's made it to the finishing line and she's about to deliver the very good oil for the big night coming through on Saturday night. Kate, you've been a star throughout the carnival. We've got to find out, what is your best bet?
Yep, very excited. Tab Blacks Are Fake night, the grand finale. I am tipping race 3, number 7, Fairy Tinkerbell as my best bet. So Jack Callaghan takes the drive here. This mare was clearly the run of the race in the Group 1 Golden Girl last week. I think Luke McCarthy can cross with the Honey Queen, then look to sit on Fairy Tinkerbell. So that's my best bet.
Okay, race 3, number 7. So we've got a big circle around that one. Anything else stand out on the program for you? What are you tipping in the Blacks Are Fake?
Well, we've got our on-course trainer Jason Grimson here, and he's very happy with Majestic Cruiser, so I'm gonna go with him on top. Just a little bit of value there too. So
okay, the Kiwis are reading into that form. Greg O'Connor was tipping Majestic Cruiser as well. As I said, it's been really busy for you throughout the carnival. This week in particular, the Golf Day on Monday looked like it was hugely successful, and last night the Calcutta, a massive result.
Yeah, the Golf Day was a big success, and then we had those barrier draws, so that was great. And then, yeah, Calcutta, there was so much money last night. There was people putting their hands up left, right and centre. So 35,000 in the pool. So very happy. It was a great night, and yeah, it was good atmosphere, and it was great to see a lot of people there. So
it's here to stay, isn't it, the Calcutta?
Yep, most definitely. Only can improve from there.
Okay, really appreciate your time throughout the last couple of weeks with this segment. Really appreciate it. We'll see you trackside tomorrow night.
Thanks, Chris. All the best.
There's Kate Butt joining us, her best bet. Race 3, number 7, Fairy Tinkerbell. We'll take a quick break and be back with more in just a moment. Well, that's just about it for another edition of Weekend Winners, special Winter Carnival edition, the Tab Constellations. It's been outstanding 2022, and I'm sure tomorrow night is going to cap off a very good night. Greg, it's been an absolute pleasure having you over. Looking forward to seeing you over here next year, not only for the Carnival, but for the Inter-Dominion as well.
Look, it's been my pleasure not only be here for the carnival, but to sit with you blokes and have a yarn about a sport we all love, and we want to see the best horses win these races. I think the carnival's played out beautifully. I'm going to get some more Kiwi horses over here, because let's turn it into a true Trans-Tasman competition.
Absolutely, Darren. This is going to be a real thrill tomorrow night. The Blacks Are Fake. This is our pinnacle event in the Sunshine State, and I think the best horse will come out on top.
Yeah, certainly will. It's a great night all across the card, highlighted by that Grand Circuit Blacks Are Fake. So I've thoroughly enjoyed my time here, guys, so I'd offer my cap to both of you.
Okay, nice play on words there, but really appreciate the efforts of Darren going through all those speed maps. It's a very tough job, in particular at this time of the year when you're trying to marry up all those form lines when they're coming from here, there and everywhere. So it's been an absolute pleasure of mine to work alongside Greg and Darren. Enjoy the night on Saturday night. It will be a ripper. 10 races, our first race, getting underway at 5:02.